Hey friends, did you know the video that you are about to see was done in Terri's Creation Station almost a year ago? So the information as far as the supplies and availability of those things that we used in the video may not be available, but you can certainly use the techniques that I go through, and that's what's important. And the good news is, if you want current content, you just have to join Terri's Creation Station, www.terriscreationstation.com, and you'll get current content, so check it out. Hey everybody, it's Terri, and we're here for another monthly installment of our featured video. This month we're going to the sea. Last month we also did something that was nautical, but this time we're doing mermaids, because who does not love a mermaid? So I've got a frame. These frames came from General Wholesale, and they're real rustic looking, kind of look like something that's in the bottom of the sea, and that's one of the reasons I loved picking this out for this project. You could build something similar to this, or take a picture frame and add sticks just from your yard in there for the effect. So you wouldn't necessarily have to have this frame. It's easier if you do, but you don't have to. So you could construct something like this on your own just for the effect. So we're going to use this kind of frame. I'm going to put this one aside because I kind of went ahead and started another one so you can kind of see what we're doing. And I'm going to show you how we're going to attach these cute mermaids. Now I've got this one. There were two different colors. So we have this one, and I've got it coming at the top. And don't worry, I'm going to show you how to put all this together. But I went ahead and did this just for sake of time, and to make sure that it was going to be securely on there. You know how I am about construction. So this worked perfectly, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And then here is our other mermaid. It's a little bit different coloration. And she's got I guess a seashell or something up there. And the colors are a little bit different. But I'm going to show you how to put this on. We could almost do the same thing. Put it opposing corners like so. A lot of options here. I'm going to put her going this way at the bottom. All right. Now, when I started thinking about this project, I didn't want the mermaid flat onto the frame. I wanted it to have some dimension. So that's why I've come up with this technique to get it lifted up off the frame just a bit. And this is real easy to do, so you're going to really enjoy this process once you get it down. You could start with any kind of feature point here, get some other elements if you wanted, any kind of seashell, or it doesn't have to be these gals, but this will give you an idea on how to put this together. Okay, let's put this one on there. Remember, you could do it this way. I'm going to do her this way, swimming. Okay, now it comes with this burlap hanger, and I am going to use this a little bit later. Let's just cut this off because I don't need it for hanging. We're going to use it to secure this onto the frame. I think this is going to be a real unusual kind of design. It's not something you typically see all the time, and these elements do work really good together. So I'm just going to cut this off because we don't need it. All right. Now I am going to go ahead and untie it because this rope we are going to use. And the reason I'm saying that is, see right here, I untied her rope there and I've put it across there. That's not keeping it on there. It's not really the secure part of it. It's just an added bonus trying to keep it on there. And it kind of looks like her belt, so you could put a ribbon on it or, you know, enhance it somehow. So I'm just going to undo this one, and we'll use it a little bit. I'm really big on using everything you get with your materials. That way you're not wasting anything, right? Can really utilize what's given to you. This way I didn't have to go and get any other kind of rope. I can just use this one. May as well, we paid for it. And if this one ends up being too short, we can just, you know, do something else. But I think it'll be fine. All right, to get this up here and get it more 3D, here's the process. I've cut a piece of styrofoam, and it's about 1.5 inches wide. It's 4 inches long and about 1.5 inches deep, or 2 inches deep. Okay, so it's just a small little piece of styrofoam. You could use a piece of scrap for that matter. So this thing is really heavy. That's the only bad thing about it. Okay, so to get this on here, we're going to decide where to put this mermaid. So I want really her bodice, this part, the chest part, to be our main secure, where we're going to fasten it. And just kind of look at it from here, and you want to see, like, I wouldn't want it way over here, not in the middle, because that's too predictable. So I'm thinking just a little bit maybe over to this section here, and I'm making sure that the chest and the foam are in alignment. Okay, so that's about where I'm going to want it to go. Okay, so we're going to put that aside, and this is where we're going to put it, right there. And we're going to use zip ties. Now, if your zip ties are not long enough, you know, you can do this little trick where you put them on there and extend them, okay? Because we got to go around the frame and around the styrofoam. So you just insert one in the other. And then we can trim that once we get ready. Okay, trick number 1. We're going to use some floral tape. This is very inexpensive. You should probably have this in your supply somewhere. And we're going to take it and wrap around where the zip tie is going to go. Okay? And give it several wrappings around, and then it just tears off. Make sure that's on the bottom. In fact, you can give it a little dab of glue to keep it there. Don't touch the glue. I learned my lesson about that. So we're just going to take that. I might have put just a tad bit much too glue of the glue. It's not going to come off. All right, so let's wrap another section, and these are where the zip ties are going to go. And why do we do this? The reason we do this is I don't want the zip ties cutting into the styrofoam. So this is just a little trick to get it to stay without cutting through. Let's put a little dab this time. Okay. Knitting needle is a very essential tool in my shop. I've never knit a single thing, but you all need a knitting needle. All right, so let me just double check my mermaid again, where it's going to go. And I want it on the chest part, and then we're going to push it a little bit this way. Okay, so that's about where I want it. We're going to take the zip ties, and right where that tape is where we're going to secure this on to the frame. Just kind of line it up. Did I get it backwards? I think I got it twisted. No worries. Okay, here's a little tip. Try not to get this where we've connected it on the top, because otherwise it's going to push your mermaid up a little bit and it's not going to be balanced. So just get it down onto the side. Let me get my cutters. I'm just going to trim those off, okay? And let's do one more. So we make sure it's really secure. Now, I didn't glue the foam to the frame. There's really not much need to do that. It would be overkill to go there and do that, because this is not going to move. So you can see this floral tape is keeping it from digging in too deep on the foam itself. Just a little tip. Should be able to use that in a lot of different applications. Okay, so there we have it. Now we get to do the glue. We get to play in the glue. Did I do that one for nothing? I guess so. Okay, I've got my glue pan here. And we are going to load up this foam. Not phloem, foam. So you can see it's like the consistency of honey. It's about the temperature that I like to use. And we're just going to take a big old glob of that and stick it on there. That's some serious glue. This is going to be what's going to keep our mermaid to the foam. Okay, so remember, we're going to put her chest, bodice, the torso on this form, block form. And then just give it a good push. And let's hold it for a second or 2 or 5 seconds or 10 seconds. And check it before you get it too dry. Make sure it's level in the way you want it to go. So it's still at the point where we can adjust it a little bit. And I was glad I did that the one up there, just to be sure that this technique was going to work. Because you know what? I had to figure this out as I went. Never been done, as far as I know. Trying to figure out how to keep these mermaids on this frame. Okay. So that's pretty well on there. And we are going to eventually cover this foam with some moss, so it won't show. We're going to hide our mechanics. And then I'm going to take this rope that we took off of the hanger and put it around her belly. This one did end up being a little bit shorter. Let me turn it over. And I'm just going to make a tie. And then I'm going to staple it, because I do not want it coming apart. And again, this is just an added precaution on keeping it on there. It's not going to go anywhere. That glue and the zip ties are going to keep it from going anywhere. But just as a backup, my fancy little thing. Let me just bang those in there a little bit more. And let's cut that off. Okay, so that's all there is to keeping the mermaids on the frame. And that was easy, easy. Now, the fun part begins. We can start building out the florals around this frame. So, let me see what I picked out. We don't want to overwhelm the frame with a lot of floral because we want to make sure that we still keep the integrity of the frame itself. But we kind of want to have this sea, under the sea kind of theme. So I have these, we used these last month in that nautical theme that we did. So I grabbed those. Just because I grab them does not mean I'm going to use them. But the finished product list will be, materials list will be posted as well, so you know that. These are like the foamy kind of magnolias that I think are going to blend in real well. These picks have like little seashells, and again it's like a foamy kind of material, and I just have one bush of that because we've got lots of cuts on it, so we can use that. This I thought kind of looked like something under the ocean, and we'll give some nice color, some different shades of green, and I got 2 of those. This to me kind of looked like some coral kind of, I don't know, sea creature or something, so I grabbed those, and it does have a little bit of blending in with this maroon color there, so that'll tie it all together. And then I got these like moss weed looking things. What do they call this? I can't even read it. Moss covered something or another. Moss ball branch. Okay, so we'll put a little bit of that in there for texture. And then I'm going to use some of this vine as well, just as an added texture element. Okay, and then of course I picked up some mosses to put around the styrofoam that's here holding up the mermaid. Okay, so let's get going. Let's just start putting some of these elements in. We've done the construction part, and the rest is going to be super easy. Yeah, and you can see that's not going to come off at all, like ever, for ever and ever. It's going to be there. All right, let's cut these up. You can get any kind of bush to go here. I liked this because it had the nautical shells in them. And if any of the materials are sold out on the list that I give you, because there's always that chance that things are going to get sold out, don't panic. You can substitute. All right, I am going to put a pick on these to go into the frame. If you don't have a pick machine, you can force it in there, but I do recommend that you use a pick machine because it's just so much easier. Well, that didn't work. Let me go on the other side. My right hand can really do the pressing. Much better. All right, so now we can come like right behind. We've got our styrofoam down there, right? So we can just start pushing some of these elements in there. And of course we want this seashell to show. Make sure that's in there really good. And then shape out your greens so they're not just flat. This one's got a starfish on it, so I love that as an element. Primarily, we're going to play off these corners, and that will keep us from covering up the frame itself. So let's come down here opposite from that green piece and put this starfish. And here we are going to shape out. Look how great this works. We've already got her elevated, and now we're going to elevate that starfish so it gives it so much more dimension. These are the kind of things that excite me as a floral designer. When I see how these elements start really blending and working together in such a way that it's creating the vision that I had for it. So look how pretty that is. Now let's go ahead. I'm thinking I'm going to use one bush per mermaid, so we've still got a few pieces we can put in. And just work all the way around the styrofoam, you know. It's a small piece, but it's enough to give you what you need to put these picks in. So here we put it kind of in the opposite corner. Here's another nice shell. This was a fabulous pick. Let's come in here under her in the front. And you can have yours at different levels. Like we've got the starfish up kind of high, this is kind of midway, and this one can be in a lower position. So think about your levels. Can even turn them different directions. They've got wires on them, so that works out really well. All right, let's put some of this here maybe. And okay, I put that there and it's not showing at all, so let's change it somewhere else that can be seen. Sometimes you just have to make those quick adjustments, you know. Pull it out before the glue dries. Okay, so we put it right there so it can be seen better. And now let's do this one right here to extend over in that direction. There's no rhyme or reason how to place these, but I think you'll have a good eye for it once you get started. Now let's pull this shell around. See if I can pull it around. Get it maybe up on top of this star. So again, see, we brought that up to a little higher level. Like she's swimming into the under, I guess it's underbrush, that's in the forest, but into the bottom of the sea. All right, so there we have, that was one whole bush that we used for her. So let's go to the next bush while we're in this mode and get our top girl situated. I can't help but think of Daryl Hannah in that movie Splash in the Mermaids, when you use a mermaid. And if you're too young to remember it, you need to go watch it. It's a really cute movie. Oh, sorry, I had to get this. I need to keep these tags so I remember what to put on y'all's list. You know? Okay, let's come up here to her. Here's what we have so far. We're going to add some more, but that's a good beginning. So again, we're just coming in. Well, that one came off, the pick came off. We'll just do it again. And stick this one right in the corner. Get the stringy glue off. This one's going to photograph really pretty too. Let's make that shell come up and say hello. You could wire some, see how they've just wired these shells? You could totally get shells and do little pinholes and wire them in onto some greenery. So if you can't get this bush, for some reason, if it's sold out, then you can just make your own. You know, put a little hole in some shells. You can buy shells in a big bag at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. Most of those places have those. And you know, do it yourself. Make it yourself. Okay. We're going to come up a little higher with this, so let's go underneath. And I'm going to bring the shell over to the side so we can actually see it better. Little shell. Now, where shall we put let's put that this way. The starfish. I don't know if you could do starfish putting a hole. They're kind of brittle. So that might not be a good work or workup to do that. Let's go right here. Now I'm going to bring it up there, see, across, so we can really get it as a focal point. That worked really good. Have to kind of get down low on this one to find where to put stuff. So far, so good. Let's just fill in with these little branches, leaves. I like the fact that they're sitting up. If you had them too close to the frame, you might lose them as far as the impact that they have visually. Those are all things that you need to think about when constructing something like this. It's almost like creating a piece of art where you've got different mixed media. All right, let's figure out where to put this. I don't want to go too low, but I think that'll work. Okay, perfect. move those leaves and branches and things around until you get the look and effect that you're trying to achieve. Okay, let's move on to some different elements. We've got plenty to work with. Let's go to this bush right here. And I'm just going to pull it apart because this is one of those foamy gizmos. And they come around, off really easily. This is going to give us our height that we need. And so this tall piece, and these look like seashells. They're so pretty in person. I'm going to put a pick on this end. We've got 3 of these pieces, right? 1, 2, 3. And then we've got 3 of those. So I'm going to do 2 and 1. So I'm going to have 2 at the top and 1 at the bottom. That'll give us our odd number, which is desirable. I'm going to go under here, find my foam, push that in real good. The nice thing about these is they do bend, so you can shape them once you get them in there so they aren't sticking straight up. They can go a little bit to the side, which is better. Better. Now we're going to go right here and then have this one come like that. Or we could even go down here, but I think I like it better up here. And then we're just going to bend this. It can even sit on top of that seashell, and you get that kind of effect. Let me clean this up. I've gotten stuff thrown everywhere. See, that gives a lot of movement up there on her head. Now let's use these little sticks. Looks like those little mussels or something that attach to everything in the ocean. Look for your elements that fit your theme, so they sort of translate what it is you're trying to do. And these all bend again, so you can shape it in the direction that you want it to go. And I think I'm going to have this one coming out of the bottom. I tell you, if these glue strings weren't here, I might go a little faster. Well, I think I missed my foam. There it is. So now I'm going to just kind of curl that one that way. Go in the direction that her tail is going. This is looking really good. All right, let's go down to the bottom one and put these pieces to tie in with the top. I need to go ahead and put that tag over there. Otherwise, I'll be digging in the trash for stuff. All right, let's go down to the bottom. This would be gorgeous at a beach house. All right, I think I'm going to put this one coming out this way. So I'm going to go underneath her hair and kind of come up that way, just bend it. And let's see the other piece right here. Let's come from the middle up here, like in that area, and we're going to come around and put it kind of following the direction of her tail, okay? Okay, here we go. So think about those movements and how they work, and you will have a better result. Okay. What do you think so far? I'm loving this. It's starting to come together. And we still see the mossy stuff. I mean the branches. Okay, so now we have this magnolia. Let's cut this thing up. It's kind of weird looking for a magnolia, but I like the color in it. And there's sticks too that we can use if we need them. All right, I'm going to put one flower here and two at the top. All right, let's do that. So let's go just like we did with this direction and put this flower there. Coming out of the bottom. Now see how that comes up a little bit higher? We don't want to hide our starfish. And then we're going to bend these branches a little. Okay. Now let's put these two up there. So we're just kind of moving back and forth. I want to make sure that I'm not finishing one and then going to the second one. I'm kind of working them in tandem so that I make sure I get all the elements complementing each other. Build it together would be my recommendation. Well, come here. Okay, the pick came off again. I'm getting wild. These stems are so thick, sometimes they'll do that. Okay. Just move everything as you add things, move things around so that they're seen and not underneath something. All right, we've got one more of these. And I'm going to put that up there at the top, kind of opposite from this one. It's kind of like hide and go seek. You're fishing for the styrofoam. Okay, there's that. And then we've got these extra sticks, which I don't really think we need, so I'm going to put them aside. We're getting close. Okay, let me cut these. I just cut those all with my stem cutter. Greatest invention ever. Okay, the seaweedy kind of looking stuff. I'm going to put 2 or 3 together, like so. We're going to put a pick on them. And again, we're just going to start working this in to the styrofoam, which is starting to get kind of full. Let's see if I can see what I'm doing here. There we go. So I would separate that out so it's not quite so clumped together. You want to give it some texture. So I'm putting 3 together, 3 little stems. If you wanted shorter pieces, you could certainly cut it shorter. And just spread those apart so they've got some depth to them. Okay, let's see how many I got left. 5. So let's do 2 that way and 3 on the other. So we're going to end up using 1 pick per mermaid of this bush. Now, I used these same mermaids last summer on a large wreath, grapevine wreath, and it took it to Wreath Makers Live. Let's go under here. I'm gonna have to lift your tail up. Lift your tail up, darling. Now spread these apart so they're not all clumped up. That just makes it the fact that it's just so hang on, drop the mic. Drop the mic. Okay, let's go to the next lady and put those same pieces on her. But this frame is a great backdrop for something like this. All right, I'm just going to bend those so they're not quite so straight looking. Remember, you're going to get a supply list with all of these. Substitute where you need to, because there may be different materials that are not available for whatever reason. So you can Always substitute. Let's put this under here. Again, this is an instance where I put this in and it covered up the shell. So you want to reposition that and get it where it's visible again. Because I consider that a focal piece. You do not want to cover up your focal pieces. This is gorgeous. Wish you could see it in person. Let's come up here and get some of it coming out of the top. This one came out. Let's redo it. I guess the hardest thing of this is finding your foam underneath there, but I mean, that's not a big deal. Come back and see how I lifted that piece up so it wasn't so flat. You know, they'll all bend, so make them do what you want them to do. Go in the direction you want and everything. Okay, let's put a little bit of this just to tie in that color. And this stem has 3 little pieces on it. So I think what I want to do is cut these off. And that way I'll have 3 pieces. They're just short little pieces, but they're going to add just the right amount of that color in. To tie it all together. Let's stick it right there. And so see how I just kind of brought that up to the top little area. Let's put one up here. You can kind of manhandle this thing because it's on there. It's not going to come out. Don't get all like you're trying to be real careful. I mean, you need to be careful, but you don't have to baby it, that's for sure. Okay, we've got here, and let's put one kind of right in there. And I'm going to actually stick this kind of in the frame. There's a little gap in the frame. And I want this to kind of hold, come down a little bit lower. So I'm not putting this in the foam. I'm putting it in the little crack of the frame. There's a little crack right there. Because it's such a short piece and I wanted it to be visible. So you can see it's right there. Okay, let's do this second one. Again, this is going to be up at the top. Let's turn you around, mermaid. Okay. You see, it doesn't take a whole lot of these little bushes like that one. It's just adding enough contrast that for the color. Well, look at there. Sometimes you bend your pick. That's what happens. Well, I'm not going to fight it. I'm just going to start over with a new pick. Because once it gets bent, it's almost impossible to get it in. Alright, let's try again. Maybe go right there. Okay, I'm going to rearrange some of this to get the shells up. And we've got this right there. And then one more. And again, I'm going to put this in the crack of the frame, so it'll stick out more. So use your frame if you need to put something in there. I love it. Okay. All we have left are these little mossy thingies. Let's cut these up. There's 3 on a stem. Moss ball spray or whatever you call it. Pick these. We're starting to get close now, which is, this is the point where I look at it and go, is this the vision I had? It's absolutely the vision I had. It's really exceeded my vision. So I'm going to, since this is a tall piece, I'm going to come up out of the top of her head to give this a little bit more height. And I got to find the foam right there. So you see what happened there. It came up a little bit higher than her head. And then I'm going to put a piece coming out at the bottom and then one piece out down here on the other one. Let's come down from here. Just right there. Like it? I like it. We got strings going everywhere. Now let's turn this around. This would be a challenge to ship, but I can tell you, whoever would buy something as artistic as this would not care about shipping costs. I'm mixing this in kind of with the other florals. Being aware of your focal elements. Now, all we have left, folks, is the moss and this vine. Now, what I want to do with this vine is going to be just an accent. So I'm not even going to really use all of it, but I'm going to get a piece that's got some long pieces to it. I don't want to get all the short ones. So maybe this side right here. It's got some long pieces. So let's cut 3 of these. Yep. So I just counted 1, 2, 3 of those. We're gonna cut those off. You'll have enough of that for another project. I'm going to pick these all together. So see how beautifully that works? You can put it all together and use it for one thing. Now watch what happens. We're going to come in behind this one's head into the foam. Make sure it's in there good. And then I'm going to come around. Now remember, we're trying to keep this so we can see it, right? So I'm going to weave it through the frame. This is just for an added texture element. And I want this to kind of have a little bit of a loop here. So what I'm going to do is come under here and staple it, because I want it to stay right there. So let me see if I can turn this around without breaking anything. But here it is, right there. Let's see if we can't staple that in, because I want that loop to stay just like that in the front. Perfect. Okay. You can come back and put a little glue on there if you want. It should be fine. So see, that gives me my loop that's going to kind of stand up. And then I'm just going to take this other piece . This thing's gotten heavier. Heavy! You gotta have muscles to be a floral designer. So this one, I'm just gonna come down and behind this star, I'm gonna staple it. You wanna, as much as possible, hide your mechanics. So we can put a little piece of moss on that too. That would disguise it. But I don't want to break her starfish. And you got to get this thing right on the that little tab, or it won't stay. Okay, so we can see that is right there. Give it a little bang if you want. Let's put a little tiny piece of moss on there, and that will fix it. You want to hide your mechanics. This is just natural moss. Just going to stick a little piece of that on there. Like it's supposed to be there, right? You can go back, and just to tie all this together, you can just put a few little pieces of this moss on some of the branches. And that way it doesn't have a billboard that says, "There's staples under me." So let's just stick a little bit of moss right there. It ties in with the natural elements of the sea. And then we'll put a little bit maybe over here. on that branch. Now, the moment of truth. This is going to be a little harder for me to show because it's heavy and quite large. So, let me come back to Cleveland and you can see it. Now this is without me fluffing it, right? You know I'm going to put this on a door and I'm going to give it a really good once over and shape things the way I want it. The other thing I want to bring to your attention is, see right here, there's our mechanics. So you can go back and take your moss and just glue on there, which I will do after I get it all fluffed out, and cover that up. But I think we are finished. Without the shaping, I know I've got to get it upright on my easel and see what it's doing. But I loved this project. Think about all the possibilities of building a frame or using a photo frame that would utilize the same concept. Of course, all I can do is see it from this angle. But I think it's pretty from what I can tell. Okay, I'm excited to have shown this to you. I hope you have good success with putting it together. I know you will. And I will have a supply list if you want to purchase the materials for this same project. I will post that in the group. And now that I've got this out of my head, I can totally rest. You know, you get a design in your head, and until you make it, you don't know, you know, what it's going to be. But now it's out of my head, so I'm excited for that. Can go on to something else, something new. Okay, thanks for joining us this month, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye. Thank you so much for watching our video. Please like and subscribe to our channel. Leave us a comment. We love hearing from you. And until next time, I'll say goodbye.